Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. Sometimes I feel like my only friend is the city I live in, the city of angels. Lonely as I am, together we cry. Drive on her streets 'cause she's my companion. I walk through her hills 'cause she knows who I am. She sees my good deeds and she kisses me windy. I never worry, now that is a lie. I don't ever wanna feel like I did that day. Took me to the place I love, take me all the way. I don't ever wanna feel like I did that day. Take me to the place I love, take me all the way.
So that was Under the Bridge by the Red Hot Chili Peppers from the Grade 2 book. Let's go through the chart. Starts off with 8 bars of absolutely nothing for the drummer. Yay! Everybody can play that, so feeling really good. Good solid start. Next 2 bars, you've got a cross stick and a hi-hat. Now the cross stick obviously is marked with the cross on the snare drum line, and the pattern itself, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and like that, and you play it twice. The key thing here though is to pay attention to the dynamics. The dynamic is P, which stands for piano, which we all know means quiet or soft, depending on which translation you use. And that dynamic actually lasts right through to bar 21. Now, at bar 11 we change to the snare drum only playing on the 2 and the 4, but the hi-hat's still playing the 8th note. So you've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? So nice and straightforward still. When we get to bars 19 and 20, this is where the change comes up. Now the count for these, 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and. Okay? Hi-hat is playing nice and straightforward, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then the snare drum will play the 1, the 2, the and the 4. So you've got 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and you do that twice. Up to speed, you're looking at about 1, 2, a 3 and 4 and 1, 2, a 3 and 4 and. Take your time with that bit because it does throw a lot of people if they don't count properly, okay? Make sure you're counting really clearly and that you're really focusing on making sure that every beat is exactly where it needs to be. Drop down to 21 and we've got a couple of different things that are happening here in this first bar. Your bass drum is playing now, which it hasn't. So we've had 20 whole bars with no bass drum. It's like, oh my goodness, what's going on here? But make sure that your bass drum doesn't dominate your snare drum or your hi-hat, okay? Quite often we hear this, we get this. And it just sounds horrible. It really does. So make sure that the bass drum and the snare drum are properly lined up, especially for beat 3 where we've got that like that. So getting that nice and lined up. but also make sure it's dynamically correct in terms of where it sits in the mix. So it needs to sound as part of what you're playing, not dominating. So 21 will sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So again, if I do it again but without the count, nice and straightforward. And then 22. So you've got 1 and 2, 3 and 4 for that bar, where you've got 1 and 2, 3 and 4, like that, okay? You may want to try just counting the eighth notes of the quaver, 1 and 2 and playing the snare drum and bass drum pattern for those two bars. So 21 and 22 without the hi-hat will sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you need to get that really comfortable, because if it's slightly out or slightly rushed or dragging, it really doesn't sound right. Now, at 23 and 24, you've got a repeat the previous 2 bars sign. Okay, so that means you play 21 and 22, and then at 23 and 24, you play 21 and 22 again. Okay, drop down 25, 26, exactly the same thing. So you're effectively playing 21 and 22 3 times. So that's why you really need to have them comfortable. Move on to 27 and 28, and now your snare drum, still on cross stick, is back to where we used to it being, the 2 and the 4. The bass drum playing on the ands and the 3s. So at 27, we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, like that. So do it again: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then the next bar, 28, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and at that point, try not to go where the whole volume, the dynamic is just like really up and up. Just hit my hi-hat. You need to be really careful of that. Okay, so don't go from. It just sounds horrible. So you keep it within the same boundaries. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and. So nice and gentle still. Move over to 29. So you're on page 2 of the chart now, and here you've got a couple of things happening. So we've changed dynamic. Again, we're now up to forte. So we've gone from P, which is soft, to MF, which is medium loud, and now we're up to F, which is loud. So here we've got a crash and bass on beat 1, then we're over to the ride cymbal. Okay. 29, a lot of people struggle with because the bass drum only plays 2 notes in the bar, but it's where those 2 notes are playing. So 29 will sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, like that. Now, the bass drum obviously is playing on the 1 and the and of beat 2. So you've got 1 and 2 and it doesn't play anywhere else in that bar. So again, take that bar, make it comfortable before you try and put it in with the song. 30, still on the ride, but there's more bass drum action here. Again, take it slowly. For that, you're looking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. So there you've got 30 and 31. Okay, we'll do that again. Oh, quick word about why I'm holding my stick like this. When I play my cross stick on an acoustic kit, I feel I get a better sound with it being held this way. On an electric kit, it generally doesn't matter too much, but I've been playing acoustic drums for so long that I just do this automatically. And you don't really have to go through the hassle of turning your stick over, so I don't bother. If you want to, that's entirely up to you, but make sure it doesn't take away from staying in time with the track. Okay, so back to 30 and 31. So play 30 and 31 slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So there you can hear that bar 31 is almost identical to 29 but without the crash. Move across to 32 and you've got your first 2-beat fill in the piece, which is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and A. Okay? Now we don't need to be like, there's not really any call for that. You'll get a much nicer sound out of your drums, even your electric ones, by just raising the volume or maintaining the volume really at loud throughout that. So you're 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and like that. You don't need to overhit. Then 33 is the same as 29. 34 is where a lot of people struggle. So really make sure that you're listening to the click and you're counting for this one. The fill itself is really straightforward. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and okay, but it can either push or drag, so be really careful with it. Make sure that it's really in time. Okay, if we just put a click on quickly with it, so get Doris in.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1,
1,
2.
3, 4. 1, 2.
If you're ever so slightly out one way or the other, it will really ruin the feel of the song. Okay, if you're ever wondering whether or not you're in or out, record yourself. You know, you can use anything, laptops, pads, phones. Most things nowadays have got cameras on them which can record, so make the most of it. Move on to 35. 35 is the same as 29, so we don't need to worry about that. 36 brings us another 2-beat fill. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4 and. Again, nice and straightforward. Make sure though that everything starts and stops in the right place. That's so important. 37, same as 29. My goodness, that's like the 4th time I think that groove has come out. So great news for us because we don't have to learn anything new. 38 gives us a lovely little fill. So that's a 3 E and 4 E and, or apple pie, where you're looking 3 E and 4 E and. So it's 3 on the top, like that, 2 on the mid, and then finish on the floor tom there. So 3 E and 4 E and. Okay, so play that bar as it is. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and. We've then got 39, which, oh my goodness, what a surprise, is exactly the same as 29. And then we've got the final fill at bar 40. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. And that's it. Take your time with it. Make sure you've got each little bit worked out and it's comfortable before you move on. Okay? Use the play along track, record yourself, use the demo track to get ideas of how things should sound, but start to really develop your own listening by recording yourself. You'll find that really, really useful as you move on.